Good evening. Welcome to the 11th Annual Outstanding Economic Student Awards. I want to welcome all of you, students, parents, educators, and friends, to this presentation. My name is Pam Campbell, and I'm the Director of Public Affairs at the Oklahoma City branch of the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. We are located in downtown Oklahoma City. I want to congratulate each of you for being selected as an outstanding economic student. I was impressed when I saw the list of high schools and how you represent the different regions of the state. The importance of good financial decision-making is critical for our individual well-being and the well-being of the economy as a whole. That is one reason the Federal Reserve is pleased to sponsor this award ceremony with the Oklahoma Council for Economic Education. OCEE and the bank have a long-time partnership in promoting economic education in Oklahoma. Now I want to introduce my partner for this exciting awards presentation, Amy Lee.
I am Amy Lee, the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Council on Economic Education. As Pam mentioned, the Fed partners with the Council on Economic Education initiatives because we feel it's critical to support the cause of economic education and financial literacy. The Federal Reserve and the Oklahoma Council on Economic Education are here to be a resource to you. We both have free resources and curricula available to teachers, parents, and students. We also offer free workshops for teachers and academic competitions for students to help build an engaging foundation for learning about economics. To our winning students, you are certainly on your way to building a strong economic foundation. And again, congratulations on being recognized as our 2021 Outstanding Economic Students.
Amy, I think the young people that we are honoring today have demonstrated that they have a strong grasp on economic and financial principles and how they apply it to their lives. No matter what career fields they may enter, their understanding of economics will help make them a better employee and a better citizen. The Council and the Fed believe it is critically important to prepare our future leaders to take on responsibilities of consumers and manage the risks that come with the opportunities to spend, save, borrow, and invest wisely. Economic and financial education that begins at a young age and extends through one's life is the most effective preparation for making important financial decisions, such as buying a car, purchasing a home, saving for retirement, preparing for college, and even choosing a career. But unless we have a public who understands the fundamental concepts of economics and finance, we cannot be successful in this endeavor. That's why we want to recognize these outstanding students who are already on the right path. Now, I would like to introduce a special guest. Chad is the branch executive, vice president, and economist here at the Oklahoma City branch. He's been in Oklahoma for 15 years and works closely with our president, Esther George. He briefs her on Oklahoma's economy for the Federal Open Market Committee meetings. He also works closely with the branch board of directors to collect and analyze the data for our region. In addition to working with President George, he researches regional economies, energy and manufacturing, and travels the state, when we're not in COVID, giving speeches about the Fed. Help me welcome Chad Wilkerson.
Thanks, Pam. On behalf of the Federal Reserve's Oklahoma City branch, I also want to congratulate these impressive students on being selected for this honor. Since the beginning of this program, we have celebrated 121 students from 70 high schools across the state of Oklahoma, and we're happy to be able to add these 6 students to this elite group. Some of you might be wondering what the Federal Reserve is and how it affects you. Let's take a look.
We are the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City.
As one of the 12 regional banks that make up the nation's central bank, the Kansas City Fed's 1,900 employees, located in Kansas City with branch offices in Denver, Oklahoma City, and Omaha, serve a 7-state region in the heart of America.
We strive to maintain a strong economy and stable inflation, supervise and regulate banks to keep money safe and sound,
and support the country's payment system and U.S. Treasury.
We are the Oklahoma City branch. For 100 years, we have served Oklahoma and provided a voice for Main Street. We are experts in our region's economy. We research industries including manufacturing and energy. We have a board of directors that represent different industries and regions in Oklahoma.
We interact with banking, business, and community leaders to listen and understand our region's economy and give them access to economic information and resources.
We connect communities in rural and urban Oklahoma, focusing on workforce, small business, and economic development.
We work to build a foundation of economic and financial literacy with educators and students.
We are local.
We are focused.
We are committed.
We serve. We are the Oklahoma City branch.
We are the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City.
I don't know if you noticed in the video, but the Oklahoma City branch has been in Oklahoma since 1920, and we're still celebrating our centennial year. Since its opening, the Oklahoma City branch has provided Oklahoma a local connection to the nation's central bank through its participation in each of the Fed's mission areas: financial services, regulation and supervision of financial institutions, and monetary policy. Our employees are part of a rich history and legacy of serving the state of Oklahoma for the past 100 years through our network of relationships with businesses and community banks and understanding of regional economic conditions. Additionally, Oklahoma has a unique connection to the development of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 that established the Federal Reserve. One of Oklahoma's first senators, Robert L. Owen, was an author of the act and brought his views on stabilizing the nation's financial system from his experience as an Oklahoma banker. Today, the 50 employees at the branch provide important insight and analysis on Oklahoma's economy and the energy sector, and focus on bank supervision and regulation, community development, public outreach, economic and financial education, and financial services. Those of us who work at the Federal Reserve seek to foster a strong economy, and a key component of reaching that goal is for the public to have an interest in economics. So again, that is why we are thrilled to honor these outstanding students in economics tonight. Now I will invite Amy Lee back to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Chad, for explaining the Fed and supporting these outstanding students. Now I'd like to introduce and welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Travis Roach. Dr. Travis Roach is an assistant professor with the Department of Economics at the University of Central Oklahoma and is an MBA faculty member. Roach originally hails from Austin, Texas, and made his way to Oklahoma by way of Lubbock, Texas, where he completed his doctorate in economics. His dissertation was a collection of 3 papers concerning carbon dioxide emissions in the United States. After completing his doctorate, Roach served as a postdoctoral fellow at the National Wind Institute, where he taught courses on wind energy economics, policy, and law. Before living on the windy plains of West Texas, he attended the University of North Texas, where he received a BA in music and a BS in economics.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Travis Roach, and I'm an economics professor here at the University of Central Oklahoma. And I want to be among the first to say a huge, major congratulations to you. This is a really cool moment, and I wish we could be in person talking about this, because I think it's important to celebrate these types of things and these accomplishments, because hopefully, and I'm guessing of you, these will start to pile up throughout your academic career. But one of the first things I think you should do when enjoying this is to look around and, thank some of the folks who helped you get here, your teachers, your parents, your family, your friends. Look around. These are major things. And so something that was told to me earlier on is to think of these like mile markers. This is a mile marker. This is something that you'll come back and look at and say, okay, that was cool. That was a mile marker on a very long journey. So what I'm here today to talk about with you is what economists do, right? You've won this award. Maybe you will be an economist. And so I want to talk to you about that. And to do that, I'm gonna start sharing my screen really quick. And so probably you have a lot of questions. What do economists actually do? That's something that honestly, a lot of my family members ask me kind of often. So what do? This is probably what's in your mind. This is what it feels like we do, all right? We're the Mr. Moneybags, either taking or handing out money, depends on what you're thinking. That's probably the popular conception of it. Some people may have this idea. Now, it is a little math heavy. So this is an image from A Beautiful Mind, and that's on the subject of game theory, which is a very fun, cool subject within economics. And so that's really thinking about how strategy works. But also there are economists in baseball and sports in general. Actually, one of my undergraduate students, she just had an interview with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Hopefully she gets the job. She would be one of their statisticians. And so this is from the movie Moneyball. This is actually an economist here who's helping the A's get better and outcompete some of their competition by being better and by relying on statistics to make themselves more competitive overall. And then here, probably your parents will recognize this, but this is, I think, the most classic example of an economist. This comes from the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you have nothing else to do after this award ceremony, I do recommend seeing this. You'll see this is actually a macroeconomics class, the original boring class. So these are the way economists are portrayed in the media, or at least they used to be. I do want to tell you what economists actually do. So before I do that, though, let's get the awkward part out. So there's always this question, is what you're studying, is what you're researching correlation or causation? So I want to show you some famous correlations. So this is the amount of per capita cheese consumption. And we can see that that's very predictive of the number of people who died by becoming tangled in their bed sheets. Now, this is bad news, I believe, for everybody, because I did enjoy myself some queso yesterday. So, sorry, there's going to be some more bed sheet deaths. Now, we could also look at the number of people who drowned by falling into a pool. This is extremely correlated with the amount of films that Nicolas Cage has appeared in. So, National Treasures 1, 2, and 3, these were very deadly movies if you think about it. Now, these are obviously not indicative of what's actually occurring. So how do economists get around this problem? Because this is really, it's kind of what economists are starting to do, is studying causal effects, studying how does one variable changing affect another variable. So let's look at it. This is how we do it. We go and look for very funny and interesting circumstances. So y'all might remember a couple months ago, it feels like forever, that we had a very, very, very big ice storm. I don't know if I've ever been more cold. Thankfully, here in Oklahoma, we kept our power pretty well. But this is actually a picture from the Texas and Arkansas border. And on the right-hand side, Arkansas had cleaned the snow off their streets, but Texas had not paid for that service. And so what you see is the exact same day, two completely different worlds, and the arbitrary state line going between them that decided which street got cleaned, or which half of the street got cleaned in this case. So this is what economists typically look for, are kind of divisions or experiments, if you will, because we might be able to see, okay, what's the effect of a street cleaning on sales, right? You might be more likely to go shop on the right-hand side of the street than the left-hand side of the street this very day, just because of that. So then we can see, okay, what is the value of that service? So those are the kinds of ways we can begin studying this. So let me tell you about a few of my favorite research examples that have come out semi-recently. Now, many of you, hopefully most of you, watched Sesame Street growing up. It was probably just a part of your life. And you never really thought back to yourself, I wonder what effect that had on me today, or maybe even later in life. Well, turns out we could study that. This is one of my favorite economists. This is Melissa Carney, and she looked to see how does the ability to watch Sesame Street affect lifetime earnings. And there was this kind of accidental experiment where parts of Los Angeles were able to get Sesame Street on PBS. You had your little antenna ear TVs, and it came in, and the other half didn't. And it had nothing to do with how wealthy a family was, had nothing to do with it did have to do with where they were in the city, but it got distributed to the parts of the city kind of at random. And what she looked at was she matched those children who were in the parts of the city that were able to see Sesame Street with the ones who weren't. to see how did their lifetime income change. What she did here was look for that border, half where one got cleaned of snow, the other half didn't. And what she found is being able to watch Sesame Street had these large lifetime impacts. It improved school performance, especially for boys, and it also improved lifetime earnings and ultimate education levels. This is a recent movie. This is called The Green Book. I think it won an award or two. And so one economist out here is looking at, he's actually the dean of Ohio State's Arts and Sciences School. He goes in and he's looking at the Green Book and redlining and how did this historic racism, these are racist policies, how have they affected incomes and outcomes and employment for people today from policies that were in existence decades ago? And so here again, we're looking at these lines that were drawn on maps, these red lines that were circled around neighborhoods, and less financing came to them, and this cumulative effect of lower economic growth. These are fascinating research topics. And then we can look into health economics. This is a major concern in our state somewhat, but particularly in places like West Virginia, New Mexico, and this is that of the opioid crisis. And this is Dr. Jennifer Doliak. What she went to look at here is to see how did the prescription of a life-saving medication, one that helped you stop overdose, that should reduce opioid consumption, it should reduce opioid deaths, but it actually had an unintentional effect here. What it did was it made it less risky for the person taking the opioids because they had, for lack of a better term, a get out of jail free, a quick way to not worry about the concern of overdosing. And what that had the adverse effect of doing is by increasing opioid consumption because it took away part of that risk. So this is what economists are studying. We're coming in, we're looking to see how do education and ultimate earnings later on change, or how does one policy change opioid consumption, or how does one policy change the employment outcomes for Black or Indigenous people? So these are the kinds of questions that we ask as economists. Now, here's one that I actually did, and I was curious of it because when I moved here in 2015, we had a pretty shaky little state here. So what you're seeing here is a picture of all of the earthquakes that happened between 2000 and 2008. Every single one is with a little pinpoint there on Google Maps. Here's from 2009 to 2015. A little bit more shaky. So this is called induced seismicity. This is something that occurred because there was a lot of injection of water very deep underground. This water was pulled up as part of the oil and gas production process, and then it was pumped back down underground. And so you can see that there was a big, giant change in the amount of earthquakes that happened. So my question was, okay, well, what effects might that have? Here's another picture of that. You can see, we did have some earthquakes going back to 1976, but that darker brown area, that is what happened in Oklahoma alone. So we have as many earthquakes as the rest of the United States in just a couple of years. And you can see that it really started right at that 2009 period, right when hydraulic fracturing or fracking became widespread. So the question is, what kind of effects might that have? And how might we value this? What are the costs of these induced seismic activity? So we ran a study, and what we did is you can look at home prices. One way to measure the value of schools even, or the value of parks, is to look at a home. And you can say, well, if a home has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a large backyard, we can measure that compared to other homes that have those same features. Oh, this house also has 3 bedrooms. This house also has 2 bathrooms. This house also has a pool. And so what we're able to do is calculate home prices and look at all those observable characteristics that we know to look for. Has it been updated? What condition is the foundation in? And what we can do is see how did these home prices change over time. And again, I'm looking for that state line effect here. In areas that had a lot of earthquakes versus areas that did not, how did the home prices change over time? Well, it turns out these earthquakes made those homes that were in earthquake-prone areas less valuable in the future than they otherwise would have been. because people are pricing in this risk. They think, oh, I've heard from my friends or my neighbors that, wow, there's this magnitude 4 earthquake. It really hurt this area. So that home is now worth about 6% less than it otherwise would have been if it hadn't had the earthquakes. Now, this was pretty cool. This is a little bit older. It's a little dated at this point, 2017, but they actually went live on the scene to talk about this. Now, I was nowhere near. I don't know why they're downtown, but they did talk about it. I did think this was kind of funny, too. This is who was advertising on that particular news segment talking about this. But that was pretty cool. So this is kind of what economists do. We look for interesting facts and we come up with a price or a cost or a value of some kind of economic phenomenon. I would absolutely say that earthquakes or tornadoes or Medicaid or any of these factors that we're interested in, we can see what are some of these unintentional or unintentional effects that happen later on. So why economics? Why am I going to try and convince you to at least think about being an economist? Well, for one, it's a very pliable degree. It's the kind of degree that will help you be good at a lot of things. Now, the goal for me as a teacher is to prepare my students for jobs that may not exist yet. So when I began teaching, I never thought that I'd live in a world in which there were self-driving cars. But we're starting to see that. In fact, the trucking industry is starting to really test this at scale. And so how do we measure industry change like trucking, or in this case, this Prius that can drive itself? How do we do that? So economics as a major, you are more able to go into more critically thinking activities and skills. And that's what employers, when we go out and talk to them, this is what they want in their future employee. Someone who can think creatively and actively and can kind of think and reason with both hands, come up with alternate solutions. So that's one way that I think economics really prepares you for any future you want. You're good at problem solving. You're good at understanding how, if you pull on one thread, that affects this other thread, and it moves you down this chain so you can think in terms of chains of events. We're very good at thinking about how incentives work and what processes are like. And then I should add that, economics is typically either the number 1 or the number 2 degree accepted into law school. We have a lot of economics majors who become lawyers, who become managers, who become politicians. In fact, the current vice president was an economics major. She was a very good economics major by the sound of it. Her thesis was really cool. And, it doesn't hurt, but we make a lot of money compared to a lot of other majors. So if you'll see this dark blue line, that's all majors. That's the average median lifetime earnings. So this is in terms of millions of dollars. Now, engineers, they make a lot of money. They do well. But look, economics is the top degree just underneath engineering, computer science, and physics. We're above finance. That's because we can go into a lot of very skilled positions. Data analysis, quantitative thinking and processing is very valued in the workplace right now. And we're seeing this show up in jobs numbers and in lifetime earnings. I should mention that one of my other degrees is in music. It's down there here at the very bottom. I did stick to my economics degree. Now, here's another interesting one, and this is actually another cool little bit of research that actually just came out. So USC is one of the major, economics at USC is one of the major degrees taken there. It's one of the most popular degrees. And they have this thing where in your first few economics classes, you need to make a certain GPA to be able to be an economics major. And so this blue line here, you can see is their cutoff to be an economics major. And look what happens just to the left of that. If you just miss the cutoff, you're just not able to become an economics major, you're making below $50,000 a year on average. If your score just barely above, you're making more like $60,000 to $70,000. That's a $10,000, $12,000 difference here just because of your score early on in your undergraduate degree and what put them into an economics major. So this is a good way of looking, again, kind of like those both sides of the road, right at a cutoff. What's the difference? And we can see it's about $12,000 if you're an economics major. So regardless of what you end up doing, and you're probably going to be good at whatever you try. So I want you to try a lot of things. Here's some advice. These are the kinds of things that I wish, or some people did tell me that, and that's why I'm telling it to you. Stay in school. This matters so much. This is the unemployment rate, but it's split up by different education amounts. So this dark red line, the kind of magenta line on top, that is the unemployment rate for folks who have less than a high school diploma. You'll notice we basically start in one recession here in January 2008, and that gets close to 20%, and then it falls over time until we get to this most recent COVID pandemic recession, where it goes above 18%, closer to 20%. It's always above the other education amounts. Look, even at having a high school diploma, you go from being about 5%, this is the teal line, up to about 10, 11%, and then it falls. And then it goes right back up to about 18% in our most recent recession. I want you to compare that to this kind of bluish purplish line on the very bottom. That's if you have a bachelor's degree or higher. Notice January, right before it says January 2010, that is the height of our last recession, what we thought was bad. Notice that unemployment rate is at its worst where we started before the recession for those with a high school degree. So at peak unemployment from the last recession, you get down to where you started with a high school graduate. Going to college pays off. Job stability, job certainty, this matters. And you can look around and you can feel it right now, especially. This matters. Now, assuming you go and you finish and you work on your school, I think you should get a minor. I think you should double major. I don't care what you do, but I think you should diversify yourself. In the business world, we call this product differentiation. This is why a PlayStation is slightly different from an Xbox. You want to give yourself different features. And when you are going out on the job market, you want to be able to sell yourself. And so if you have a minor in something that you're really passionate about, or a minor that you think just makes you more competitive, I think that brings your resume to the top of the pile. Now, I'm an economist. Y'all know this. I'm talking about economics only today. But one of my undergraduate degrees is in music. And I can't tell you how many job applications or job interview type things I've had. And this was brought up because it made me, I think, a little bit different than some of the other candidates. So I strongly recommend, go get your minor in history. Go get your minor in English. Go get your minor in a foreign language. This will make you more competitive. And then the last thing, I guess, is to say yes until you have to say no. Take risks. Go for it. If you have an opportunity to go and try something that you're maybe not sure you can do, I think you can do it. And I think you should try to do it because you probably can. You're here today. You're watching this video. That means you're pretty good. So I think you should say yes and take any opportunity that comes to your table. So that's my short spiel. I'm very happy for you guys. I think this is a good mile marker for you. This will, looking back, you'll see this and go, yeah, I worked hard and I earned that. But this is just the first of many accolades, I think, for you. So I do want you to stay in touch. If you want to come talk to me, I would more than love to show you around campus. Come up here, I can talk to you about being an economics major, connect you with some of our students. They're really sharp. We've got some that are working for the city of Oklahoma City. We have some that are interviewing for the Thunder. They're doing a really good job. Send me an email, call me on the phone. I'm able to talk to you no matter what. And without further ado, I would love to hand this back off to the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Council on Economic Education, Amy Lee.
Thank you, Dr. Roach. We appreciate your wonderful comments. The mission of OCEE is to promote personal finance and economic education. We do this by providing resources and training to teachers and student competitions to reinforce these concepts. We are so thankful to partner with the Fed for this program so that we can reach more students and teachers. Oklahoma is one of 6 states where economic standards are not required to be implemented by school districts. Further, economic classes and teachers are shrinking each year. At the close of the 2018 school year, there were 11 AP level econ classes and 82 high schools offering general economic courses in Oklahoma out of 550 districts. Well, that certainly seems alarming. The good news for our students receiving this award today is that you are a shining economic star. You have insight and awareness that peers your age in your state do not have. It sets you apart as being an outstanding economic student. Your teachers chose you for this award, and we hope you use this accomplishment as a catalyst to bring economic awareness into your future education, organizations, and clubs that you join and your career. To the students, we're proud of all that you have accomplished and wish you continued success. And to the parents and teachers here tonight, you should be very proud of what these students have achieved. Without your efforts and your support and your acknowledgement of the importance of economic literacy, they probably wouldn't be receiving this award today. Okay, Pam, are you ready to honor these students?
Amy, I'm thrilled to be able to begin introducing these fantastic students. First, let's start with Brooklyn Bailey from Mustang High School, who will be introduced by her teacher, Carrie Hickson.
Hi, my name is Carrie Hickson, and I'm a personal finance teacher here at Mustang High School in Mustang, Oklahoma. It is with pleasure that I am nominating Brooklyn Bailey as the Outstanding Economics Student for Mustang High School. Brooklyn is in 10th grade, and she is an exceptional young lady. She is in my first hour personal finance class, and she always gets here early. She gets all of her work done. She participates in class and asks great questions and always wants to know a little bit more. And so I love having her in class. She is a joy to have in class. She's also a very motivated young lady. Not only is she doing good in my class, she does good in all of her classes and works really hard and makes really good grades. She's also involved in a lot of things. She's involved in student council here at the high school. She's involved in FCCLA. She's in Business Professionals of America and in National Honor Society, and she plays an active role in all of these organizations and enjoys participating. Brooklyn also has, in my opinion, awesome career choices. She either wants to be a CPA or a business manager, and with the choices that she's making with her grades and with what she's involved in, she is on track to do a great job in becoming whatever she does want to be. So it is with pleasure that I have nominated Brooklyn Bailey as Mustang High School's Outstanding Economics Student. Congratulations, Brooklyn.
Hi, I'm Brooklyn Bailey, and thank you so much to Miss Hickson and to the Mustang High School for this amazing award. Miss Hickson is such a good teacher. She has your best interest in mind, and I've learned a lot from her. Thank you.
Next is Adrian Beltran from Western Heights Public Schools. Teacher is Bonnie Wood, and she will share why Adrian was chosen to represent the school.
I'm Bonnie Wood, AP and Concurrent Enrollment Coordinator for Western Heights High School in Oklahoma City. Adrian, congratulations on your acceptance and your ability to finance your education with scholarships to Gonzaga University. With 61 credits earned toward your associate's degree in accounting at OSU, you are ready for the next 2 years toward a bachelor's degree without having yet graduated from high school. Your high school leadership in community and school organizations and athletics has now become leadership in helping other students and families with understanding money management and their personal finances. This is all part of your outstanding executive functioning skills. Your mom says you are busy all the time, all day long. You remain happy while keeping a strong work ethic. Up before 5 a.m., off to the gym, then catching up on your stock market research and your personal investments, then to work as a restaurant's head sushi chef, and back home to study for 5 college classes this semester and 1 AP class, late night. I want to thank your parents and tonight, all parents who are here, and remind you that you create amazing human beings for us as educators. We could never have made it through this pandemic without your very tangible help and your sacrifices in keeping these gifted teens on their paths to success. Adrian, you are the epitome of a gifted child, and even better, a joyful person to know. Your best investments are yet to come and will be in what you create for the future well-being of others, in your family, your community, in Oklahoma, and in the nation. Thank you.
Hi, I hope you're all well. I'd just quickly like to thank my counselor, Miss Bonnie Wood, and my high school, Western Heights High School, for nominating me for an outstanding economics student.
Callie Morissette was selected as the outstanding economics student from Wyandotte High School. Her teacher, Drenna Robinson, will now tell us about Callie.
My name is Drenna Robertson, and I teach at Wyandotte Public Schools in Wyandotte, Oklahoma. I nominated Callie Morissette for the Outstanding Economic Award this year for several reasons. Callie is a senior, and she's very involved in almost everything we have here at Wyandotte Schools. Even though Callie knew she needed a job, she knew that with everything she was involved in, it would be really tough to work normal job hours. So with that being said, she created her own business. She sells jellies and jams that she hand makes out of things she grows in a garden at home. Callie sets up at craft fairs, she sets up at pop-up shops, and she's very successful at this. But not only that, in our entrepreneurial projects here in my business class, Callie done a great job just studying the market and what was already being sold in this area. And she started her own earring business. Callie uses clay that she hand makes a lot of earrings, but there are other jewelry she makes as well. And I am very proud to congratulate Callie Morissette as the Oklahoma Economics Student of Wyandotte, Oklahoma.
I want to thank my school administrators and my teacher, Ms. Robertson, for nominating me for this award. This fall, I will be attending Pitt State University and obtain a degree in business and marketing. I think that Ms. Robertson's class has taught me the skills and objectives that I can use to guide me through my career. Again, I want to thank everybody for nominating me and helping me through this whole process.
Muskogee High School chose Sophia Reynolds to represent the school. Clayton Blevins will introduce Sophia.
I'm Clayton Blevins. I'm the professor of marketing and management at Muskogee High School. I'm also the decade teacher, and I'm really proud to nominate Sophie Reynolds for the Outstanding Economics Student this year. Sophie has done several projects showing her different economic paralysis. She's really good at numbers. She's good at business. Right now she's working for a real estate company that also does land management, and she's been doing an outstanding job for them. And I really think she's just an outstanding young lady, and she deserves this honor. So I'd like for you to all welcome Sophie Reynolds.
Thank you, Muskogee High School and Mr. Blevins for nominating me for this award. I just want to thank you, Mr. Blevins, for being an amazing teacher and coach these last 4 years. I will never forget all the amazing life skills you've taught me in your class.
I'm happy to announce Tessa Roberts from Montecasino Middle School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here's her teacher, Jennifer Light, to introduce us to Tessa.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Light. I teach personal financial literacy and youth entrepreneurship at Montecasino Middle School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I do know that this award is for high school courses, but I teach 7th and 8th grade, and this course is a high school course. I'd like to introduce Tessa Roberts. She is one of my star students. She's wonderful in economics. She understands markets, and she has designed products for our class. Tessa is always engaged and enthusiastic. I know one day we're going to see her operating a design or a fashion business. Even in this class, we've seen her start her own little loan lending business. On top of being an entrepreneur, she is sweet, she is kind, and she's a real pleasure to have in class. Let me introduce you to Tessa.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It inspires me to work towards my goals, and making a business has always been a dream of mine, and this class really helps it come true.
Thank you, Tessa.
Hi, I'm Tessa Roberts, and first off, I'd like to thank my teacher, Miss Light, for nominating me for this award, but also being such a great teacher at Montecasino. So the decision about what elective to take this year was pretty tough, but I've never once regretted taking personal finance. I've learned so much this year about how to succeed with money and in the business world. By taking this class, I'm confident enough to say that I will use the financial skills I learned this year to run my own business one day. Thank you.
Harper Wood was selected as the outstanding economics student from Edmond North High School. AP economics teacher Lacey Goodger will tell us why Harper was selected.
Hi, my name is Lacey Goodger, and I teach AP US History and AP Economics at Edmond North High School. I nominated Harper Wood for the Outstanding Economic Student Award. She is a senior at our school. Harper is a fantastic student. I had the pleasure of having her in my AP US History class last year, where she was the most outstanding student in that class, and she has continued that streak in my AP Econ classes this year. In fact, she is the highest performing student in all of my AP Economics classes. Congratulations, Harper.
Hello, my name is Harper Wood, and I would like to thank Edmond North High School and also Ms. Goodger, my AP Economics teacher. You have taught us really well and really thoroughly this year, despite the world seeming to be against you in that effort. And I would just like to thank you especially for all the extra work I know you've put in this year. So I hope you have a nice, long, relaxing summer break, and thank you again.
Students, we are so proud of you. This has been a crazy year, and you have persevered and are well deserving of this award. Congratulations.
Students, what an accomplishment. You were indeed outstanding. We are so proud of you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Hello, on behalf of the UCO College of Business, I'd like to congratulate all of the outstanding economics students in Oklahoma. As an economist myself, I think you all have an extremely bright future ahead of yourselves. So I hope to see you here soon at the UCO College of Business. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
Congratulations, students. We're so proud of you.
Hi, this is David Holt, the mayor of Oklahoma City, and congratulations to the outstanding economics students. Keep up the great work.